right. For the warm-up today, if you can please look up, we have 3 problems. It says, which of the following triangles are congruent? I'm talking, so you're not. State the theorem that was used to prove the triangle's congruency, and then write the statement. If they're not, you can write not congruent. So for the first one, what do I know? What can I add? Say that again. Tick marks where? In the middle, because they share a side. So if I can add tick marks in the middle, what do I now have? I have side, side, and I have another side. Do y'all agree?
No.
And so, what is congruent to WTU? W to T to U? Be careful. It goes from 2 tick marks to 1 tick mark. So what goes from 2 tick marks to 1 tick mark? UVW. It goes this way. It's not going to be a reflection. So it's UVW. Does that make sense why it's not WVU?
Yeah.
Next one. Be careful with this next one. What do I have here? I have 2 sides and an angle. Is that angle between my 2 sides? No. So I'm going to write the 2 S's with an A, not between. What do we notice? Why is it not congruent? Because it's the bad word, y'all. However, before you write not congruent, Micah, before you write not congruent, you have to check something. What do you have to check? Is the angle 90 degrees?
Yeah.
It is. So what does that mean? This is HL. HL is congruent. So be careful. If it's the bad word, check if it's 90 degrees. If it's 90 degrees, then it's HL. All right, so what would be congruent to E to F to G? E to D to H. Do I have any questions?
No.
All right, last one. What do I have? What can I add? Because I only have 2 things here. Do y'all agree? Y'all, if you only have 2 things, automatically it's not congruent. Unless you can add something. Can I add something here?
Angle.
I can add angles. It's a bow tie problem. I can add the arches because these are congruent. So I have an angle here. Is my angle between my 2 sides?
No.
No. So I'm going to write the 2 S's with the A not between. It's the bad word. Check it. Is my angle 90 degrees? No. So you're just going to write not congruent in the second blank. You don't need to put any letters because these are not congruent. Again, do I have any questions? Or we understand the difference between 2 and 3? All right. Can you please pass up your warm-up? It should be a free 100 because you wrote down everything this week. Pass them up to Jacob or Santiago. I don't know. Somebody turned it in but didn't write their name. Do I have all the warm-up? Oh my goodness. All right. How many of you have never played Uno before? Who has never played Uno before? Okay, good. Everybody in here has. Now, originally the idea, if y'all can chill out over there, pay attention. Boys, do we need to move if we're going to keep talking while I talk? Originally, we were going to have y'all play Uno for like 15, 20 minutes. However, there's a lot of y'all, and that would require us to buy a lot of sets of Uno cards. And if you didn't know, teachers just already spend enough money. So we don't have enough sets of Uno cards. And then a teacher was like, I got an idea. Why don't we print out fake Uno cards, laminate them, and then they can play some ghetto Uno with laminated cards. So the teacher did that, and then the printer ran out of ink. So we do not have any Uno cards. We're not going to play today. I will tell you, hold on, if you are passing next Friday is a catch-up day and a free day. So we will be playing games in here if you're passing. So if you have a stack of Uno cards, bring them, and we can play on Friday, yes. What? What's your language? Strike one. What'd you say? You thought next week what? The week after. All right, so why are we watching a video of Uno? What's the point of this? Well, how do we play Uno? What are the rules of Uno? You have to match so in order to put a card down, you either have to match the color or number, or how do you switch it? A wild card. Those are literally, hey y'all, shh. Those are literally the 3 rules of Uno. To put a card down, you have to have the same color, the same number or symbol, or you can switch it by putting a wild. Do y'all agree with that? Okay, so let's see if you really know how to play. If given on the ground on the table is a 1, a yellow 1, how do I get to a red 2? Yellow 0, and then the red 0. Do y'all agree? And then I can put down the red 2? Does that make sense? All right, let's get a little bit more complicated. What if I have a blue 6 and want to get to a yellow reverse? Why skip? And then, which one? Does it matter which one goes first? No, I could do it like this, or I could switch them and do it like that. Do y'all agree? Okay. So, why is this relevant? What does this have to do with geometry? Well, everything in life, most things in life, but almost has a process. Do you agree? Okay. Do you agree there's pretty much, not all the time, but almost always a reason behind what you're doing? Yeah. So, because of that, somebody, don't know really who, but came up with something called a geometric proof. Before we get to the geometric proofs, I'm going to do an Uno proof to make sure you understand what a proof is. Now, if your parents are a little bit older than me, and you talk about geometry to them, they're probably going to tell you they did not like proofs. And back in the day, they used to do proofs all year long for every single thing they did. And as I show you what proofs are, you're going to be like, oh my God, I would really hate this. We are going to condense it down to today and next week. And that's it. So, be thankful we're only doing it that long. But here is what a proof looks like. And this is called a 2-column proof. Okay? Watch. That's strike 2. For a proof, you have 2 columns. Your first column is statements. Your second column is reason. You are always going to start off with what I give you. So, we started off with the yellow 1. Why? Because why? Because I literally gave it to you. Guys, the first thing in every proof is always given. Always. We like that. That's a free point. The next thing, what was the next thing we did here? The yellow. Why did we do a yellow 0? Same color. That's my reason. Your reason is your why. Then what did we do? Why? Bam. And then last but not least, why? You are always going to end with whatever is proof. Again, this should be a free point on your test because you always end with it. This is a free point because you always start with your given. All right, let's do the harder one. What goes here in the first statement? Why? Because it was given. And then? Why? And then? Why? Whoops. Because it is. But why? We got to change the color. There we go. And then what do we choose? It doesn't matter. I could switch these around. So you're going to see today that sometimes when you do a proof, it can be in a different order. The order is not necessarily important on some of them. Some of them it is. Same color. And then last but not least, we always end with our proof. For that. Does this make sense? You have a statement and you have a reason. So now we are going to get to our geometric proofs. So please grab your notes and fold them like a book. Every day when you walk in. Why don't you have them? Every day. All right. Congruent triangle 2-column proofs. You're not talking while I'm talking, boys. The left column. Your left column is always the statements. It usually has something to do with math if we're doing some type of mathematical proof. Your right column, what does the right column say on top? What's the title of the right column on your paper? Reasons. Your reasons are your why are you doing that? What does my proof always start with? The given. And it's always going to end with the proof. Please write this down. Today we are going to be marking as we go. Some of the pictures already have the markings. They won't always have that, but on your notes they do. So for this first one, I'm guiding you at first. Are y'all good? Can I move up? All right. Look up, please. AB is congruent to CB. What is that? What is my reason for that? What did I say? We're always going to put a reason first. Given. Do y'all see where that is literally written in front of or after the word given? What about AD? Oh, so I can mark those. AB and CB. What about AD and CD? Where do you see that? It's also given. So I actually can write given twice. You won't always have two givens. You could also write these all in one line. All right. And that's these two tick marks right here. Now, the next line says BD is congruent to DB. We did this the other day. What is that called when they share a side? Anybody remember when they share a side? What's that called? That's a good place to look up there. What is that called? Reflexive property. Remember when we learned that the other day? Reflexive property is when they share a side and you can put tick marks. Reflexive property. And what do we always end with? The proof. Do you see how it ends with the proof right here and right here? Why are these congruent? Go back to what we've been doing. Why are they congruent? What do I have here? What case type? Because of side, side, side. This is the math. This is all my reasoning. This is the why. Y'all, did I do anything new right here? Don't you agree? We are just explaining what we've been doing. So is this kind of a headache because I have to go step by step and explain it? Sure. But is it new? Not at all. All right, open up, please. Did you write it down? Everybody got it down? All right, open up. Next one. This one, this is what your test is going to look like. Just blank. How do we start this off? AB is congruent to DB. We just write the given. And what's my reason? literally given. What else? EB is congruent to CB. Why? Given. And they already did the tick marks for us. What else do we know? Louder? You're right, but vertical angles. Do y'all agree this is like a bow tie looking thing? What can I add to the bow tie? I can add arches. And if I have arches, what do I know about these two angles? They're congruent. They're the same. So I can say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Why are they congruent? So you're right. I'm going to write definition or def of VA. That means the definition of vertical angles. That's why. You writing this down with me? What do I write on the last blank? Whatever it says in proof should be the end. Well, I did this last period. Why do I keep D, C, and B? Why are these congruent? What do I have here? I have two sides as an angle. Is my angle between my two sides? Yes. And y'all, we just did a whole proof. A proof. We just proved it. Again, are we doing anything new as far as this bottom part? No, we are just explaining our thought process. Can I move it up? Okay. The next one's a little bit more complicated. What do I start off with? Angle A is congruent to angle D. Why? And what else? That is really long and not big enough. B is the midpoint of AD. Why? Given and given. Now, let's talk about this. It already highlighted it already did the arch for A and D for us. Shh, boys. And it tells us B is the midpoint of AD. How does that help us? What does that make us know? Boys? What does that do for us if I know B is the midpoint? What's congruent? Not the angles. If B is the middle of this right here, A, B, and BD are congruent. That's what this says right here. Why are these congruent? We're going to write definition of midpoint. If you were to write because B is the midpoint, I would accept that. You wrote the word midpoint? That's correct. All right, what else do we know? It's a bow tie. Angle 1 and angle 2 are why? And they were so nice they actually wrote it out for us. Definition of vertical angles. How do we end this? How do you know what to write right here? Because it's literally right up here and says proof. I'm just copying it down. And what type of problem is this? I have a side with two angles. Is my side between the two angles? And somebody last period said, Miss Olivars, it literally tells you right there it's from the problem. Yeah, but it's not always going to do that. These are just for the notes. Okay. For number 4 and 5, I'm going to give y'all 2 minutes. I want you to fill in as much as you can on your own for those problems. If you don't know what to write, just leave that column blank. But you should at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 12 blanks on this side of the paper. You should at least be able to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 7 out of the 12. So I want you to fill in as much as you can on 4 and 5. Go. You're doing both 4 and 5. Just fill out as much as you can. If you don't know, leave it blank. That's fine. I'm hoping y'all can fill out 5. 6. 7. I'm hoping y'all can fill out 7. 9. I'm hoping y'all can fill out 9. So just get that one and go to the next one. What you don't know, skip and go to the next one. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen this. We're not even down to the notes. I don't expect you to have it all. Do what you do know. What does altitude mean? Okay. I know some of you aren't finished, but did you at least write angle S is congruent to angle Q in that first blank? Yeah. And for the second one, it was already there. Did you at least write given in that second one? Y'all, those are going to be points on your test. All right, just filling in this stuff. All right, did you also at least write what the prove was in the bottom box? Yeah. SRP is congruent to QRP. Right? Okay. Now let's talk about the middle, because that's the hardest part for sure. Y'all, do you see that this is basically the same thing equals the same thing? What do we call that when reflexive property? Anytime it's the same thing equals the same thing, that is reflexive property. This is the hard one right here. Do you see how given it said RP bisects SQR? No, SRQ. What does bisects mean? It cuts it in half. And so if it cuts this in half, what do you know about 1 and 2? They're going to be the same. So this is angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Why? It gave it to you. That's the definition of bisects. What do I now have here? I have an angle, and a... Is that side between my two angles? No. So the S goes off at the end. Does this make a little bit more sense? Write it down, please. All right, last one. Can I move it up? Last one. Let's see what you got. We didn't have to write down that one, but what do we know the reason is? Given. Did you write down this one, though? Yeah. AB is congruent to CB. And that is also in my given column. AB is congruent to CB. What does reflexive property mean here? The middle. What do they share? What side do they share? BD. And you could either write BD or DB. It doesn't matter. Do you have a line above it? Yeah. Okay. It also told us that BD is the altitude. Right here I have definition of altitude. What does altitude mean? Can I make a 90 degrees here? So I'm going to say angle 1 equals angle 2. And what are they both equal? 90 degrees. I have my proof now. What's my proof? What do I have here? I have two sides and an angle. Is that angle between the two sides? No. What is that? That's a bad word. But what is my angle? So what is it actually? HL. It's actually HL. Everybody should have glue at their table or on the board next to them. Does everybody have glue at their table or on the board? Denise, yours is at your feet. Please glue this onto page 30. We are going to title it Congruent Triangle Proofs. Or you can be like me and do the symbols. Congruent Triangle Proofs. Glue this onto page 30. And you are now going to go to Schoology and do today's assignment, to determining triangle congruence practice. You have the rest of the class, which is like 15-ish minutes, to do this. Go!